What's up, amazing people? My name is Chris Howard, and I'm the founder of Veterans Breakthrough. I want to take a moment to share with you why I started another veteran nonprofit organization. I know there are a ton of amazing nonprofit organizations out there, so a lot of the questions I get, why another one? Well, my answer to that is simple. Whether the statistic is 22 a day or 20 a day or whatever you have heard, one veteran is too many. So if we still have veterans out there struggling, there's something missing, and there's more impact that needs to happen, then we need to figure it out. Nothing has changed from the days of veterans struggling years ago back to the Vietnam days to where it is today. And what I see and what for me was personal is the fact that I had this stigma behind going to a therapist and asking for help. That wasn't me. I was a do-it-yourselfer. I was somebody that says, I can get through this. I don't need to ask for help, right? In the military, we're taught mission first, right? Put your mission first, your team, your teammates, and then yourself. Well, I followed that concept because that was what I was taught. And what that meant was bottling up these emotions, bottling up these feelings that I had and keep driving through. Well, I'm here to tell you that doesn't last. That doesn't work. We need to learn how to feel these emotions and understand what's going on the inside world, so we can excel in the outer world. So let me share a little bit about my story and where I am today. So when I first got in, 99 to 04 is when I joined. I joined in the Navy. I wanted to become a Navy SEAL. I wanted to become Special Forces. I wanted to become the elite. I wanted to do what other people weren't willing to do. There was only one problem. I didn't know how to swim. I wasn't a big swimmer. I could get by in a pool, but to swim miles, it wasn't even the thought that crossed my mind ever. So I said, what I'll do is I'll join into the Navy. I'll go out there, find whatever I can get into that will help me learn how to swim, and then I'll try out for the SEALs. So I did that. I went in and I applied for I did the rating that was the highest on my ASVAB score, which was in the intel world. I was a cryptologist. So I joined the Navy. I get orders to row to Spain. I have to go through air crew school. I served 11 years total in the Navy. Was never on a ship. I was an air crewman. So we flew on the EP-3 aircraft. We did intel surveillance all over the Middle East. But I went into the military and said, once I went through air crew school and SEER school, I said, I want to become a SEAL. What do I need to do to become a SEAL? They said, well, when you get to your duty station, they would be able to help put in a package for you. Well, I get there and I get told, no, your job is too critical and your rating doesn't cross over to Navy SEAL. And my dreams were just crushed. I was stationed in what I consider one of the worst places ever, right? And I wish nobody had to go to this place because it was so horrible. And just imagine this. You're on your back patio, your back porch, and you can pick up a rock and you can throw it into the ocean. That's how miserable it was, right? And I'm being sarcastic because it was one of the most amazing places to be stationed in Rota, Spain. And then when we deploy out of Suda Creek. Another beautiful paradise type of place where you just get to beaches and amazing times. And so I was very blessed in getting to travel all over Europe, to Italy and Greece and England, Norway, and getting to experience the world. So I take so much from the military that I really loved. But then I went back to this idea. I wanted to do something that just was like that, a powerful person within me, this competitor that just wanted to grind. And so I said, well, what can I do? I want to put it for the Navy wrestling team. So I put in for the Navy wrestling team. I was told it was going to get denied before I even put it in, but I put it in anyways, and it got denied. I started to build up this resentment. I couldn't do the SEALs. I couldn't be a Navy wrestler. I'm done. I'm done with the military. Getting close to my end of my 5 years in the military on my orders, and I had my OIC come up to me and say, Howard, what is it that you need to stay in? I want you to stay in. And see, my OIC was a Navy SEAL. He wore the trident. And I said, sir, I don't want to stay in. He said, but Howard, there's got to be something that will get you to stay in. What is it? And I was being sarcastic, right? I was trying to be funny. I said, $40,000 re-enlistment bonus, tax-free, and orders to Australia. And he walked away like it wasn't a big deal. And sure enough, about a week or two later, he came to me and said, Howard, it's done. And I'm like, what are you talking about, sir? He's like, orders to Australia, Alice Springs, Australia. You'll be working with the CIA in civvy clothes. and we're going to get you back to the States for this training, get you back here to be able to fly you on a tax-free mission to get your re-enlistment bonus. And I was floored to see something that somebody did for me was so powerful. So this OIC ended up transitioning to the next base, or PCSing to his next duty station. And I was left behind to figure out how to get everything done, right? I had to coordinate with Australia. I had to coordinate back with the States while I'm in Spain. It's coming in early, going out, coming in and staying late. And I couldn't get a lot of these things coordinated. So I went back to my chain of command and said, I need help. And it was like, I didn't get it. It was crickets. So I said, screw this. I'm done with the military. Get me out. My service was like in 2 months or something. So they jumped through hoops, get me out of the military, and I was done. I get back home to the stateside, and I'm like, what do I do with my life? I didn't plan for this. It just all happened so quickly. And I just said, I want to do something I'm going to love doing. And at this time, it was about, these big bike builders, OCC, Jesse James, these amazing people that created these artworks. And I said, that's what I want to go do. So I went to school at MMI here in Phoenix, Arizona, and I started learning how to work on motorcycles. I loved it. It was something I got to do with my hands and to create. But I found myself not long after that feeling empty on the inside. I didn't understand what it was. I wasn't used to dealing with these type of emotions or these feelings. And so what did I do? I powered through it. I buried it deeper inside, and I kept going. Well, I need to create goals. I want to build my life, and there's so much more that I want to do. And being a mechanic on a Harley mechanic wasn't paying the bills. One of the dreams I had was by the age of 25 to own a house, and I didn't do it. So let's fast forward, right? I start to feel this, and I said, what do I do to change this feeling? Well, I didn't have this feeling when I served in the military. I'm going to go back into the reserves. So I go back in the reserves, and I cross-weight. Long story short, I joined into the Army National Guard. I did a year with them, cross-rated to military police. After my year, I actually got brought back into the Navy because they were offering a $20,000 re-enlistment bonus. And so that I go back into the Navy, and I change my job from working as a Harley mechanic, and I get a job at NORAD Northcom as a contractor, working back in that intel world with the DoD. And this change triggered something inside me. I started seeing myself grow, and I started moving forward. Fast forward to 2009, I'm sitting at my desk. I can remember the day as if it happened right now. I'm sitting behind my desk, and I was working at the job I did was video teleconferencing for the generals, putting together these video chats basically so they could talk all around the world. And I'm sitting there behind my desk, and I'm like, what am I doing? This is not what I want. I found myself, I was about 40 pounds heavier than I am today. I weighed about 220 pounds, and I was just not happy, unfulfilled once again on the inside, and I didn't understand it. So I said, screw it. I went to my unit and said, I want to deploy to Iraq, send me to Iraq. At least if I'm going to feel this way, this emptiness in the inside, not wanting to be here anymore, I want to go fight for our country. So 2009, I went to Iraq and did a deployment, come back in 2010, and I started to go down this bad path, right? Fortunately for me, one of the most amazing things happened when I was in Iraq, which is I got introduced to personal growth. I read the book Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins, and it started moving me forward and growing myself. But I still had these feelings of emptiness on the inside, these emotions that I didn't understand. My emotional intelligence was super low because I was so used to just burying and bottling up these emotions and hiding them. It led me to this downward spiral. And though my career started excelling and I had a family that was growing and a beautiful wife and 2 kids, and my external world looked amazing. And so many people were like, what is wrong with you? You have everything. But on the inside, I was dead. I felt lonely. I felt, I don't know. I just felt lonely, like something was missing. And I could not understand it. And I'm growing myself, and I continue going back to personal growth and continue to grow myself. But I couldn't put my finger, I couldn't understand it. And I wasn't about to go to a therapist and tell them I was broken. Right? That stigma that we have is we're not military, we're there to do it. We're taught, here's your job, go get it done, figure it out. Well, that's what I did. and I continued to go down this downward spiral. I found ways to minimize and numb the feelings that I was feeling, right? I went to alcohol. I went to overeating. I went to all these things that people find themselves doing. And as time went, I continued to struggle and try to push myself, and I found ways to create a little bit of momentum or this alternate feeling by changing jobs. And I went back in after the GS world, right, which I did prior to coming back from Iraq. I left that. I left that world, and I was a GS 12, and everybody's like, "What are you doing? You're crazy." But I wasn't fulfilled. So then I went out and said, I love financial education. I love financial literacy. I want to go learn that. I want to go teach people. I want to become an advisor. And that's what I did. And again, this change created a bit of growth. Fast forward to 2019, my wife and I went to a Tony Robbins event. And, 2010, I read his book. It was 2019 before I ever did anything with his programs. And I went to an event called Unleash the Power Within. And it completely changed my life. I started to understand that this vulnerability about sharing my story, about sharing my feelings, about being able to work through emotions and feelings that I was having was powerful. And by doing this, I allowed myself to get out of this rut. I allowed myself to grow through things versus isolate myself and go down this downward spiral. So I continued to take this path. And when I went through UPW, I said, how do I learn this stuff even deeper? How do I take it to the next level? I went to an event called Date with Destiny. It's a 7-day event with Tony Robbins. And these aren't short days. These are 15-hour days. And my life completely changed. I said, this is what I need. This is what I need to get out to the veterans. This is what's going to help them grow through their transition. How do I do it? And I just started asking everybody there at the event, every staff member I could find, how do I become a coach? How do I do this, what Tony's teaching? And they brought me into RMT. There's this program called RMT, Robbins Madanes Training. It's Tony Robbins and Chloe Madanes, a world-renowned psychologist, teaching you the principles and the tools and why they work. So I continued on that path, and eventually I got invited to apply to Tony Robbins coaching, to work for Tony Robbins' company himself. And I had to go through a 3-month coaching academy to get the tools and skills that they require, a top standard for their coaches to be able to exist. And I did that for about 2 years. And I said, finally, I got to take this information. I got to get it to the veteran world. And that's where Veterans Breakthrough was born. We focus on growing veterans from the inside, helping them understand vulnerability is power, helping them understand how to deal with those feelings and emotions that they're going through to take it to the next level, to build a community around them, to be able to grow themselves, to be able to live a life with purpose. On purpose is our motto. When we look at this, to live life with purpose, on purpose, it's so powerful because it takes purpose to do it. You can't just accidentally fall. Yeah, you can have some luck here and there, but to accidentally grow your life and find fulfillment, it comes from understanding your 6 human needs that Tony teaches. And that's what Veterans Breakthrough is built around, is helping veterans understand how these 6 human needs of certainty, uncertainty, significance, loving connection, growth, and contribution are being met when we're in the military, and how we can fulfill them outside of the military in healthy ways. Not finding ways to numb the pain through drugs or alcohol or porn addictions or whatever it may be. There's healthy ways to fulfill these needs, and to help veterans get to that point and understand this, it's going to empower them to take themselves to the next level. And that's why Veterans Breakthrough is here. And it's different and unique in many ways, but I feel it as a powerful tool to enhance all the other amazing programs that are out there. So be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. We look forward to being part of your journey and seeing you soon.